what time is it? It is game time. It is podcast Sons of the Leatherheads podcast coming to you hot and good. And obviously, Danny, we actually missed last week due to just misfortunes. And we're back on the Danny. How are we doing today?
What's going on, Jay? Hey, life is good right now, man. Ohio State won the championship. It sucked that they beat the Notre Dame Irish to do it, though. That was bittersweet. Um, but also, Ben Johnson hired to the Bears. Gotta love that.
Are
That's
you?
one of
Oh
the.
man,
Say that again?
well, you're having a great start of the year. You were lagging for a second, but you were lagging for a second, so I was like, oh snaps. But yeah, you're having a great start to the year.
I am. Yep. But how are you doing today? How are you feeling with the Cowboys?
Doing
Uh
nothing
oh.
like usual. Man. Yeah, I know. I don't know. Like you're coming in kind of late on mine. But Gabe says,
Yep.
"Let's go, Ben Johnson." I mean that I loved how he entered the building and everything. Like that was amazing. Just and then he joked about how like everyone get back to work, and then like he's like, this is where we wanted to be, and this is awesome, and like that to me was just so awesome. Obviously you and Gabe wanted that. Now, obviously, we're just gonna have to figure out how he gets Caleb to not take all those hits, right? Like that was the biggest issue, is that he became like scramble gamble a little bit sometimes, and Caleb was trying to do too much instead of just like getting the short pass out or something, and then not taking so many damn hits. So I think Ben Johnson is going to be great for that aspect for sure, to get him to get the ball out quickly and stuff. I mean, Jared Goff wasn't the quickest draw off, before he went to the Lions, but Ben Johnson definitely sped up his motor and his arms. So yeah, he helped Goff for sure, and I think he's going to do the same for Caleb Williams.
Yeah. Just real quick on that. The way that he entered the building, I think that's something unique. I can't recall ever a new coach hire coming into the building like that with that type of energy, and it's exciting to see. And then I was curious to see how the interview was going to go today, or the press conference, and he knocked it out of the park as well. I think he kind of laid out his vision, like you were saying, about how everything's going to run through Caleb, and that's music to our ears for Bears fans. I think we want to see Ben Johnson kind of maximize Caleb Williams' like ability, and I think he's gonna do that. The other cool thing that he said in his press
Potential.
conference was, yeah, definitely. The other cool thing that he said in that press conference was that he's not gonna try to replicate the Lions' offense because Chicago has different players, right? They're not gonna have the Amon-Ra St. Browns. They're not gonna have the offensive line that the Lions have. So taking advantage of the people he has in the building and then trying to formulate an offense based off of that is also another positive thing that he said today. And so I'm just excited. I mean, this is the first time ever as a Bears fan that we get the top guy as our coach, and hopefully it pays off, because if he can be anything like a McVay or like a Kevin O'Connell, I think we'd hit a home run with that type of hire.
Right. And you Bears fans, like obviously you and Gabe, and we always talk, and you guys were always up in arms because it's like, what are we doing with these like B minus type dudes that we get last second or something, or we just you get rid of a Lovey Smith who had a winning record, and then it's never really capitalized ever since then. And
Yep.
so yeah, I'm excited to see where Chicago goes, and obviously we know the Cowboys and Chicago play each other in Chicago this year. So Gabe, that was food for thought with between me and Danny, that maybe me, you, Gabe, or yourself and my brother get to like have like a boys like trip. That would be awesome. I can't even imagine how Brick Griffin is right now, because all that stuff he was saying, man, we're gonna demolish everyone next year or blah 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 in the off season. And I'm like, dude, you gotta hope Caleb doesn't take hits. And that's what he did. He took a lot of hits. So I think this new coaching staff is going to understand. Well, one, they're going to understand the clock, right? Like how many times did Chicago just blunder the time of possession and the clock? I mean, I've never seen that. I've seen it once by a coaching staff a year. Like, it's like, oh damn, like let's learn from this mistake, going forward. But then Chicago did it like three times. And it's like,
Yeah,
what are we doing? Like, I don't understand the concept of time. Like, I mean, it's like they thought time was going slow or something, and then it just was not like that. But Chicago's going to be super stoked going forward. I can't wait to see what goes with that. Like, I mean, there's tons of coaching stuff, Danny. That man, there's so much going on. We already assumed Mike Vrabel was going to be with the Patriots. So then now they get Josh McDaniels, another familiar foe, to go run that offense. Like, it's just basically going to be, um, it's going to be awesome stuff for Patriots fans at this point. And I think they have the highest cap space, so
yeah,
they
they do.
can really just go and try to get whatever and any toy that they want. And they're going to go back to the physicality, which Belichick loved, right? That they ran for so many years. And I just I think, going forward, I mean, it'll be a year before they continue, but like they'll be able to get some pieces, especially with Drake May, and then go forward with it. So don't be surprised if they go get a hot free agent wide receiver to help out a Drake May. So that's
I think.
exciting. I mean, so Aaron
For
Glenn. Oh, go
I
ahead.
was gonna say real quick for the Patriots fans, I think that's also exciting because now they get kind of similar to like Dan Campbell, right? He played for the Lions. Now he's coaching the Lions. Kind of like I'm trying to blank on the coach for Houston, D'Amico Ryans, right? Same thing. He played for the Texans. Now he coaches the Texans. I think that gives the
Yes.
players it gives the players like added fuel. I think to kind of compete harder for that type of coach. And not only that, but you look at his time in Tennessee. He had a great tenure there, and made them competitive. Oftentimes, they were a game away from the Super Bowl, which was pretty surprising at that point. But now that
Right.
he gets the actual opportunity to have a young quarterback like Drake May, and now they hired Josh McDaniels. So now they're pairing a mastermind similar to what Caleb Williams and Ben Johnson is having in Chicago. Now they're doing the same thing in New England where they're pairing Josh McDaniels and Drake May, and I think that's going to take off too. Now that gives Mike Vrabel the opportunity to really focus on that defense and put that type of effort and aggressiveness to that side of the ball, and I think it's going to complement well in the end.
Nice. Yeah. Yeah, there's so many coaching carousels obviously every year, and then who goes where and what goes what. And I told you and Gabe and several people that, like, the Lions, man, they have to win this year, or else it might come collapsing very quickly because of all the coaching candidates that are going to be taken from them. And sure enough, we're talking about Ben Johnson in Chicago, and now Aaron Glenn goes to the New York Jets, and that's another one that ex player to now or going to coach that organization, that familiar foe, and he's going to bring it. That demeanor, physicality, the angst, the anger that that the Jets want, and I think that's a good hire for them. Obviously, it's you know that morning, when the Commanders and Lions were playing that Sunday, you text me, or no, you text me Saturday, because you text me the pick so we can talk about it going forward. And I said the Commanders would upset the Lions, and of course you text me back, there's no way. And I'm like, just watch, like, because it takes a toll. You have two candidates that have been, especially the offensive coordinator, right? He's interviewed 2 years in a row now for different organizations, and then there's so much going on in the locker room, the injuries, the physicality, the drainage. Like, it takes a toll, and obviously it showed, right? Like, Jared Goff didn't play
Yeah,
that great. And he had one of his, like, bad performances, I would say, like during a playoff game. Obviously they kept it close because it was a young Washington's a young team, so they're gonna keep teams close no matter what. But it I I mean, Detroit got beat down. Honestly, like they just got their ass beat, and it goes to show you that like when you have it's like one of those, it's relationships, right? Like you already have one kind of like already stepping out the door, and it's just like, but like let we promise to go to dinner tomorrow, and it's just like, no, like, go find, we'll just get Whataburger. I mean, it's like that, like the two coordinators were already out the door, and it's just like, can we hold the ship together before it collapses and we have to restart? Like we Detroit is like, Campbell said it best, he's like, man, this might have been our only window, because now everyone knows we're good. They're gonna come after us. The NFC North is already good. Chicago's going to increase. You already had two NFC North teams opposed you that were in the playoffs, and then now you lose two coordinators. So I mean, it's not going to get easier from there.
Yeah, that's a good point, Jay. I think you bring up a really valid point, and it's unfair for the teams like the Lions or even like the Bucks or anyone who had coaches kind of competing for that, for any type of recent available job openings. The problem is that now, rather than focusing on the playoffs specifically, they're having to take take Zoom calls or interview with teams that they're looking to possibly apply with or get hired
Right,
for, and it's unfair to the teams that are preparing and have big games like the Lions. I could tell you that's probably what happened, is that both their coordinators were going through these job interviews at a time where they needed to really, not to say that they weren't focusing on their plan, right? But it just it's different. It's
right,
not the same type of attention that you're getting, or you're focusing to your players, to your game plan, to whatever. And I think they really need to think about changing the rules there. Perhaps, once the actual regular season ends, maybe what they should do is not allow anybody to apply for jobs or interview or anything like that until the football season ends completely, right after the Super Bowl, or if not, Pro Bowl week. Even the Pro Bowl week is kind of stretching because you're still running to that same situation for, quarterback or any coaches that may be in the Super Bowl. So yeah, I would say probably
right,
best to wait till the whole year ends. That way, the year's completely over. Interviews or anything like that don't dictate the
right.
outcomes of playoffs, and then now it's
And
an
you
even
have,
playing ground for those teams that have those
and
openings
you
and now
have,
can interview.
right, and you have every coach is staying focused on one job instead of like having to multitask and do too many
Yeah,
things. And going back, we're talking about college football too, the transfer portal shit. That should be the same thing. Like they should lose money if they sit down a bowl game or sit out because they're thinking about transferring. They should not be able to transfer or even think about transferring until the season's over. And then the same thing with coaches. Like Detroit, like just had a disadvantage. And I woke up that morning, I was like, man, I rooted for Detroit the last 2 years, but like today with so much noise, like I don't think they're going to be able to handle it. And sure enough, it happened.
that was a shocker. Like I honestly, like you said, I text you like, no way, that's not happening, because last year I think they went to the playoffs with like a focus. And I thought,
Yeah,
after losing the NFC Championship game, they know exactly what it takes to win in the playoffs. And now they were so close to being at the Super Bowl that now they're going to be even more focused this year. And no, it turned out to be that, or I don't know, maybe they weren't focused. Maybe they met up with a sneaky team that is finding their groove at the right time in the Washington Command. I don't know. But it just sucks that they got knocked out so early, because they were probably the Cinderella team that every NFL team was rooting for this year.
right. Well, see, the Cinderella concept also starts with a storybook like season, right? Last year they were the Cinderella, like beautiful, like, oh man, the Detroit Lions are here. They are for real. But like this year, we expected them to be for real. I was one of the few people last year. Like, remember, even before season, I was like, Danny,
Yeah,
they're gonna be in the NFC Championship game, like no matter what. Like they're gonna show people, and you grow with that. But now you already have the damn slipper Cinderella. Like now you got to go be the princess. Like now you got to go be the queen, and that's harder to wear the crown in order to, instead of the fighting for the crown, right? So like the Cinderella team this year is probably Minnesota, and because they were so good, and then of course they ended up being a wild card because the Lions were in their division, but like no one expected the Vikings to have that many wins, right? So um there's so each year there's a Cinderella team from each conference that was just like, oh damn, like okay, like they just sprung out and they're legit. And obviously Denver would probably be the one for the AFC teams, but it happens every year. And then you like you said, the coaching staff had to like go through these interviews and so much going on, and then the media, are you going to leave? Are you not going to leave? And then say la vie, both left, and you lost. You didn't even make it to the conference championship game. So, oh man, it's nuts. There's several general manager things going on too, Danny. Like which is why the Raiders, a former assistant that helped build that Buccaneers Super Bowl team for 2020, John Spitek, whatever how you say his name. Congratulations to him. But you know what's so cool? He has good ties with who? A minority owner of the Las Vegas Raiders, as in Tom Brady. And he's they're probably good friends. Like he probably is the one that helped get Gronkowski, Brady, to join that team, and so forth. And so he brings him over. And Danny, do you know that Tom Brady's already done at Fox?
No, he's done
Yeah,
completely.
he's supposedly going to tear up his contract so he can focus to help Davis build empire in Las Vegas.
Good luck.
Well, I mean,
Oh man,
he has the name and he has the demeanor, so I mean, this is why they're making all these like moves already. So,
we
coach is
we've seen
gone, new GM.
we've seen one goat try to be a businessman, front office person, right? In Michael Jordan. And how does that turn out? Like they
Well, he's
they
the
changed
he.
their name two
It turned
times,
out
and that was
it
about it.
turned out it turned out to be the perfect meme. His crying
Exactly
meme, like
right.
I mean, like it, But I think Michael Jordan lets his guys do what they want. Maybe if he actually like tried to put in input, I think he would do a little bit better. Like Jerry Jones has way too much fucking control. But Jordan was like,
Yeah.
I just want to own a team just because I can own a team because I'm Jordan, And then he just like let everyone do what the hell they wanted, and then it just didn't do well. But yeah, so there's that GM news. There's
Let me
the
comment real quick on that news real quick on Tom Brady. Do you think that perhaps maybe he terminated his contract because of all the backlash with him and Ben Johnson? Like I don't know if you saw that last week, but apparently since he was gonna call the Washington Commanders and the Detroit Lions game, there was some people were upset by that because now he got access to talking to Ben Johnson when he owns a team. Like he shouldn't be doing those types of activities. He's getting like an unfair advantage by being able to have access to all those things, all those people. In this case, it was a coaching search, so he had the ability to talk to Ben Johnson, and people weren't happy by that, and so they saw it was a conflict of interest. So I wonder, because of all that, maybe he received all that backlash, and maybe he thought it was best to term his contract.
Danny. We live in the flippin' 21st century. For people to say that he had like stepping stones above everybody else because he's going to be able to call that game, how stupid. We text, we voice call, I mean, I'm in
Yeah,
Arizona with you right now because I'm looking at your damn house in Arizona. Like this, like people, for them to like be all like about it. He had Ben Johnson's number to begin with. Like everyone in the NFL, like, how do you think they like try to take people away? McVay and Stafford, like, oh man, oh we're on vacation. Hey, what's up, bro? Hey, you want to come to LA? Sure, all right, cool. Like,
yeah, I'm sure you're
it's
right.
they
Those
they
are
all have
those are the
connections.
those are the behind the scene conversations that I'm sure happen everywhere, right?
Right.
I,
And
I, I
then
get
same thing with Gabe. Gabe's texting us right now, and even though he's not chiming into the live bottom line, but at least he's like it's the same concept.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's right. That that makes sense, right? It's a new age of technology where we're able to communicate with each other on demand. That's no different. But I think it does make sense in terms of the preparation of game planning, right? So as a commentator, Jerry Jones, Tom Brady has these
No, Jerry Jones for sure.
interactions. He has these interactions with coaches. He gets to go to the practices and all of that, right? So I can see how that's an unfair advantage for him because now he's getting all those tendencies that he's picking up at practice or conversation with these coaches in those production meetings. And now he can use that as an unfair advantage when he's preparing against, that team the following year or whenever, right? So I see the potential conflict of interest there. Um, but to me, it's kind of weird how everything played out. And if this is true that he's not going to call this year or he's not going to work for Fox anymore, it's going to be crazy because Fox has the Super Bowl this year. And the whole reason why I think they hired Tom Brady was for him to call a Super Bowl. And
Well,
so
he's
what
gonna call the
happens now?
Super
Do they
Bowl,
go
but
back?
that'll be it. To Greg
Oh, so
Olson,
that's the last.
probably.
Yeah, I mean, Greg Olson's awesome. He deserves that number one chair.
Oh yeah, oh yeah,
But
oh yeah.
I didn't hear about that. That's
I
interesting.
but yeah, supposedly he's done, so he can focus. And plus, I guess because like the authentication of him owning a team, now he can't work for the media, right? So
Which makes sense.
that's why. Yeah, that's why. But going back to what you said, like, well, he had tendencies and you can see them practice. You also told me, Danny, 15 minutes ago that Ben Johnson is not going to run the same damn offense that he did in Detroit to Chicago. So I mean, like that's the whole point of you being ahead of the game. And like
Yeah.
I remember I've seen people like troll Mike McCarthy because they zoom in on the playbook that he's like, and then it's like creamsicle ice cream and blah blah blah, and they're like, well, of course we're cooked. How stupid of a play call is that? And I'm like, hello. Of course, the random stupid names are going to be on the side that's being shown by the camera. Like that. That's not the damn play. But yeah, I've seen like fans like chime in on their coach and be like, look, no wonder we're losing. Look at this thing's called creamsicle soda pop. And I'm like, you stupid asses. Like they're gonna show they know that thing is shown on TV, so they're not gonna give the damn playbook on the opposite side. You know what I mean? Like that's just to like throw people off. And I'm
Yeah, Jay,
like,
but you'd be surprised though. Like for
well, I know
every
they have a lot of terminology and names, but like they're not gonna
yeah,
just like they know cameras exist this day and age. They're not gonna have that exact play right then and there for that game. You know what I mean? Like that's just not gonna happen.
for every smart coach like McCarthy or McVay or Shanahan or whatever, there's got to be a Matt Eberflus somewhere where they would probably just be like, that's our play. And if America saw it, then we'll just run it again,
Danny,
but we'll do it the opposite way or something.
Matt Eberflus had the greatest 2-minute drill play sheet if you're the opposing team ever. He's like, all right, guys, here we go. It's called waste a minute and
Waste 19
30. Don't
seconds.
call timeout. Caleb, take a sack. We're gonna throw a Hail Mary. Here we go. It's like, what? Hold on, coach. Let's call one play first. Hold on, timeout here. Man, it was so atrocious. But yeah,
Yeah.
and then so Trent Baalke surprisingly gets fired by Jacksonville this morning. Like that was kind of news because they weren't really looking for a GM, and then all of a sudden now they are. So I
You know
don't know
why, right?
Jacksonville.
Do you know the
I
backstory
mean,
behind that? I mean, it's a rumor.
they're
I don't know facts
they're
here, but
English. They're English.
the problem is that. So I told you this last time we had our podcast. How bulky and what's the name of the owner? Sean,
Gabe said, and 5 screenplays. Ain't that right? Sean what?
right? Oh, the owner of the Jaguars. His name's Sean, right?
Oh,
His last name
Sean Khan or something.
Sean
I don't
Khan.
know.
Yeah.
Shaka
So
Khan. I don't
so
know.
in their exit press conference, how I told you that they were sitting next to each other, and there was a question that came in, and he said pretty much the question was worded: Would you fire Trent Baalke if a candidate said that they wanted another GM to work with? And Sean said, yeah. I would. And Balky was standing right next to him in that press conference. And now, like, I think going into a what 10 days into like the interview process, or the candidate process, I think that they found out that Ben Johnson wasn't going to consider them unless they had another GM, and then I think they were pretty. Once Ben Johnson took the Bears job, I think their second option was Liam Cohen from the Bucks, and I think what happened there was the Bucks, same thing, right, with Liam Cohen. I don't think that he wanted to work with Balky, and since he made the decision to go back to Tampa Bay, now Sean was kind of forced to get rid of Balky because he saw that Ben Johnson, Liam Cohen were not going to take that job seriously. So now they need to be able to hire somebody, right? And who else is out there, right? You have Robert Sala, you have Pete Carroll, you have Mike McCarthy. Even, like, you have to be able to entice these people to take your job. And the way that the front office was organized, I don't think that was gonna happen under Trent Baalke. So that's my assumption. It could be wrong there, but it just
All I
sucks
gotta
because
say
now
is,
they're doing everything ass backwards, and now it
all
turned
I
out to
gotta
bite them
say
in the ass.
is, Jacksonville and Trent both got balkied.
Yep, they sure did.
They
You and
got
your
low
big words,
balkied
man.
for sure. They low balkied. Woo! But yeah, that's wild. And then the defensive coordinator of the Notre Dame Fighting Irish, Danny, of all coaches, is going to go
Al
be the
Golden.
Cincinnati Bengals coach. How wild!
Yeah.
And like Detroit and Notre Dame are pretty much the same at this point. Like, they're losing the pieces that got them to make them glorified, and then now they might be done
Yeah,
because
Notre Dame
Notre
will.
Dame is.
No, Notre Dame's in good shape, Jay. Even with Marcus Freeman like leading that team, they'll get a good defensive coordinator to replace Al Golden. Al Golden's old too. Like, he has what really um, I think was a disservice to Notre Dame in this championship game was that they focused on man-to-man coverage, and I think Al Golden has that. He wanted to stick to that coverage type, and when you're going up against Ohio State's wide receivers, like, that's what they're known for. Like, you had to stop them, and I think that bit them in the ass. They made it a close game when it shouldn't have been close, and with him going to Cincinnati, I don't know how effective he's going to be in the NFL, honestly. But if he's really stuck on man, it's going to be a hard time for him in the AFC North, going up against the likes of Lamar Jackson and Zay Flowers and all those guys, and then it's going to be tough. And with Notre Dame, I don't know what their solution is going to be, but they'll find somebody. They'll be in good shape.
Well,
But to your point though, with the Lions, I think the Lions are going to be hurting because you're replacing two good coordinators that had a lot of success on both sides of the ball. And now it's like, who are you going to go for? Like, Dan Campbell's going to have to be the one to really bring that team together, reestablish that vision for offense and defense, and then try to see how his team kind of reacts to those new coordinators. But I don't know. It might be tough for them to recover from this. Maybe a year or two.
crazy. All I know is the Bengals think Al is the golden goose.
Yep. Another play on words.
Good.
Keep them coming, Jay.
I'm going. So the Mac Daddy, Danny, says he's still going to play from even though he's 33 and he's going to be an unrestricted free agent. Where do you think Khalil Mac Daddy is going to go, Danny?
Hey, if the rumor's true that Dennis Allen's our coach, I hope he comes over here to Chicago. We could use Mac. We
Go
could
back
break out
to a
our old Mac
reunion?
jerseys. Why not?
Yeah, you guys would.
Why not?
Like, dust them off?
Yeah.
like LeBron in Cleveland, huh? Like,
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah,
But
I
no,
mean, it's a potential match because you guys got some good cap space.
yeah, I mean, and I don't
We,
anticipate him being very expensive either at the back end of his career, right? Usually, veterans like that are 34 and up usually don't get like a large contract. They get like something in between. But if he doesn't come to Chicago, which that's probably a stretch. Like Chicago's not known to go after players that once played for them before. It's rare. But I can see Matt going to like a playoff contender, like right, a perennial playoff contender, like the Bills or even the Chiefs. I would hate to see that, but the Chiefs, like somebody like that, that's going to
Uh,
be consistent in the playoffs, and all they need is a spark on that defensive line. I could see him kind of going to a place like that. Plus, Mac hasn't really been in the playoffs too long, so I think this year was his first year since 2018 when he was with us that he made the playoffs. So I'm sure he's hungry for some playoff success, and he probably wants a championship to end his career.
he deserves it. Like I mean, that dude's a stud. He needs, yeah. Hopefully, he goes somewhere that. I mean, well, I know my owner's not going to pay him. I mean, he don't pay anybody smart except for he donated 200 million to our stupid president compared to like paying coaches and like getting a Super Bowl team. Are you guys so ridiculous? Maybe
What does
the
Gabe say?
Ravens with the rest of the Bears, since all the
True.
Bears
That's
went
a
to the
good one.
Ravens. That's a smart
That's
one.
true.
So yeah, we talked about Liam Cohen ended up staying with Tampa, and then so the Lions. So and then another Lions coach, defensive line coach Terrell Williams becomes the defensive coordinator of the New England Patriots. So I
No
mean,
way. I didn't
it's
see that.
yeah.
Ooh,
So yeah. So they're losing pieces left and right.
no wonder
So it's
they're
crazy.
salty.
Yeah, man. I told a coworker today, like the Lions are going to be cooked, like they're cooked probably, but like it's so crazy to me that so far the San Francisco 49ers have been able to keep so many pieces because eventually that window is like the window's like this big. Like this year, if they don't win the Super Bowl, there's going to be a lot of players that are going to have to leave because of free agency, because people are going to get paid, and then Brock Purdy's going to want to get paid, and like there's so much shit going on. But I'm like,
Yeah.
eventually their window is going to slam terribly because they've had so many damn chances. They've been to the two Super Bowls in 5 years. So I'm like, dude, y'all
Yeah.
gotta win
But
something. And the Eagles might be the
here's the
same. They might be in two Super
yeah.
Bowls in 3 years.
But here's the difference though with the 49ers and the Lions. What did I tell you a couple shows back that it's important to line up, an offensive coordinator with, you know, a quarterback or whoever you're trying to develop, right? Because in this case, look at Dan Campbell's situation, right? He lost his offensive guru and his play caller, and now he lost his defensive play caller. So now he has to either do it
Right.
himself or he has to find somebody to be able to do it, not to their ability, but something close. Now you look at the 49ers in comparison, and you have Shanahan, who was a mastermind. He's a play caller, right? So if you lose a Mike McDaniel to the Dolphins, it's okay because you're still calling plays. You're still able to run the offense through you know, through your game
Your
plan.
vision.
Yeah, pretty much, right? And so here, it's like I don't understand why coaches want to deal with that, or I shouldn't say coaches, franchise like GMs want to deal with this situation every couple years because you can have sustained success like the 49ers by just having that play caller be your head coach rather than having to look for that next play caller when they leave. Um, that's the way I look at it, and I noticed that trend. But yeah, it's interesting, man. It's very rare. Like you don't see that in the NFL in terms of sustained success, and with those teams like the
Right.
49ers, you see that.
Absolutely, sir. Man, there's so much going on. I mean, it's crazy, Danny. We're not even at the end of the season. There's so much carousels of coaches and GMs, and then once free agency starts, I mean, I want to see what that happens because like this free agency is going to be even more probably bizarre than last year's. So it's because there's going to be a lot of coaches like like the Jets and the Lions are going to try to take probably some pieces from Detroit. You know what I mean? Like there's going to be some like some people are going to follow their coordinators, so it's going to be interesting. And then Dallas, what the hell? I mean,
I
who
wanted to
the
ask
hell
you about
knows
that.
what Jerry Jones doing besides sucking himself?
What
Like, I mean, He
It's
is so he's on their
it's
second interview, I
crazy.
guess, with Brian Schottenheimer.
Yeah, how do you feel about him?
I mean, I don't. As long as we run the damn ball and take out the ball from Dakota, then I'll be all right. But he can't read damn defenses. My problem is we let a lot of defensive coaches go. Like they're like gone. So I'm like, who's going to be our defense coordinator? Like that's my problem. The offense, I think he could be okay with because like our offense is not. Our offense could be okay because if 88's healthy, our offensive line will get better because they were just young. Um, Rico showed some spark, especially when they let him be the guy. Instead of them letting like Zeke take so many carries, like they just let Rico run, and then he was the first undrafted running back for Dallas to have 1,000 yards since like the '80s or something. So it's pretty wild. I just think that they need to get going. Like either it's going to be Dion or Jason Wynn. Like I would love to see Jason Wynn somewhere, some way, somehow there. Like I don't, even if he's the offense coordinator, because he's going to
Yeah.
yell at people. He's going to be like he's a raw guy. And then what I've been saying, we need raw people. If our damn quarterback's not going to be a raw, and that dude just sits there like a dumbass, just staring at the damn tablet because he can't read a damn defense. But like we need raw coaching if your quarterback's not raw, and we haven't had that and discipline in so long, and that's what we need.
I find that opening very interesting because last week I think it was during who was playing? Oh, it was the Vikings and the Rams wild card round in that Monday night football game. It's crazy because all of a sudden during halftime, it blew up that Jerry Jones and Deion Sanders had talked about it, and they're very interested in kind of partnering up, right?
Right,
That made a lot of sense to me, and I brought that up earlier before the Cowboys had an opening. I like that pairing. To
right,
me, if there's anyone that can stand up to Jerry Jones, it's two people. To me, it's either Deion Sanders. It's not gonna be a long marriage, unfortunately, but it's somebody that will stand his ground, will grab the players that he think will elevate his team. I can definitely see
right.
success. Another one is Jason Witten. I think Jason Witten's the same type of way. He won't stand for that bullshit, right? He'll let Jerry know how it is. So now the question becomes: is
Right.
Jerry gonna allow these players to truly have a shot, or is he gonna be scared of that type of relationship or that type of conflict? Because it is gonna be conflict sooner or later. Um, but if Jerry Jones really wants to improve the Dallas Cowboys, he needs to go for a coach like that will challenge him, that will not be a yes man. And from what I see right
Well,
now with,
let
with
them
Kellen
let them
Moore,
pick their players.
yeah, you have to. You can't let Jerry Jones decide to pick his players. Look at how many people he's not even given a chance to. Right? He could have drafted Randy Moss in 90. What was it? 98. He chose not to do that. He could have picked up Aaron Jones in
Yeah.
free agency. He chose not to do that. He could have picked up Derrick Henry and chose not to do that. You need to have somebody who will be more logical with those type of players being out there. You're being America's team. You have the cap space. You have to be able to have somebody who'd be pounding the table for those guys.
And to think, Danny, those guys still might be a free agent this year because a lot of them are playing 1 year contracts. So he could
True.
still potentially have a chance to go get them. And will he? No, he'll be sucking himself like always.
Yeah, he needs to get out of his own way, man. He's the only one that's
I can't
preventing.
believe he says that. I can't believe he says that no one can go into Dallas and do a better job at GM than he can. And I'm
A
like,
monkey
you
can.
son of a bitch, you haven't won in 30 years. Yes, Ray Charles could. And he could see what the hell the team needed. He'd be like, nah, nah, uh-uh. And then, oh my God, it's so pathetic.
But all right.
Ugh,
So
dude, someone
so
needs
who
to
do you
just get that. Someone needs to get through his head. But you know what? Like I
who's on your
told you
wish
and
list?
Gabe, like the to coach.
Yeah, to be your head coach.
A Witten would be great. A Robert Sala would be great because at least he'll bring discipline and physicality. Um, Honestly, if Jerry has the money and the power to get both, like he can get two badass coordinators and just tell them, all right, like bring the rest of the staff that you want. This is America's team because the people want to play and coach here. Like he could technically get two powerhouse coaches and build a super team coach, like a super squad, and then just have them do what the fuck they want. But he won't. Like Witten, imagine, like let's say Brian Schottenheimer becomes like maybe let's head coach or even stays as offensive coordinator. You bring Witten to either be head coach or offensive coordinator, and then you tell Robert Saleh, you have a Michael Parsons, you have a Trayvon Diggs, a Deron Bland. You can like grow with them, and you will potentially draft whoever you want. We'll just give you a check. Like imagine that power of coaching when like if we want a definitive change and discipline, imagine bringing like those guys that would not take shit from no player.
So, what I hear you saying, and please correct me if I'm wrong, is rather than having a head coach, having a badass coaching staff, right? You have somebody calling the offense, focusing on the offense. You have a Robert Saleh calling the defense, and then them coming together to kind of build their respected side of the ball, right? And the head coach is really not valuable. It's not really not valuable, but it's not needed in this case because you have both of those coordinators being the head coaches of their respective sides of the ball, right? Am I understanding you correctly?
That's 50% correct. The other 50% of why the HC is not too much like valid is because our GM is going to try to be head coach too.
Yeah,
So just fucking
yeah.
bring a super squad of fucking coaching, and then just let them fucking do what they want, and then you and the head coach can just fucking chill and do nothing.
I've never seen a dynamic that way, but hey, this isn't your typical coaching structure, right? In Dallas, it's kind of like
This ain't
everything
the
runs through.
Jacksonville Jaguars. This ain't the Tennessee Titans. This is an owner who likes to be a GM who likes to be in control. So if the HG is going to be a yes man, then bring super fucking coaches to be coordinators.
Yeah, that's it's a unique dynamic, but hey, it could work. At this point, I mean, I think that would work for
What do we got to
Jerry. I
lose
think
to
he'd be
try
able to.
it?
Yeah,
Right. It would be like fucking awesome for him. He'd be like, "Oh, I got a yes man, and then I got these coordinators that can do whatever the fuck they want because they're badass."
yeah.
Like
Until Jerry Jones wants to
at
become
this
a
point,
defensive
that
coordinator.
would make too much sense. Oh my god, I would love for him to do be doing, and then so when he does drills, they can go hit him. When he's on that little like those little sledges and shit, like hit go, like someone just missed the bag and hit him. But yeah, that's what I would do. Like bring super coaches at this point. Like bring a
Okay,
super squad. Like bring two people that could be head coaches elsewhere because you have the fucking money and just let them run wild.
yeah, it's gonna be interesting. I want to see it play out in Dallas, um, because
It's
I
so
honestly
crazy.
think, and please correct me if I'm wrong here. This is just my opinion, but I feel like going with like a Kellen Moore or a Brian was it Schottenheimer? What's his name? Brian
Schottenheimer. Yeah.
Schottenheimer.
Who's
Is
your
he
mama?
related to Marty Schottenheimer?
Schottenheimer. Yeah, that's his dad. So I mean, he's got great DNA of coaching. Like it's literally like he's been in coaching his whole life. Like he's seen his dad do it. Like I think he would be a good head coach, especially him being like a rookie head coach. That's why you bring a dynamic of other OCs that could be head coaches, so they can all three work together and develop together.
Yeah, yeah. Like
Because
in
look
this
at Dan.
case,
Okay,
with
Danny. Look at Dan Campbell. Look at Dan Campbell, right? He was a tight end. Tight ends aren't usually the smartest guys. Tight ends are not usually the guys that are going to scheme up things or whatever. But what does he bring to the table? He brings mental toughness. I'm going to rah fuck you up. We're
grit.
going to go crazy and we're just going to go. Grit. And what did he have? He had a great offensive coordinator and a great defensive coordinator. And look what they accomplished. They made it to the
Yeah,
divisional round 2 straight years. And the last year they made it to the conference championship game.
yeah, it's a good point, Jay. It's a really good point. But like I was gonna mention before I ruined Brian Schottenheimer's name, I just don't see like the value in bringing in a Kellen Moore or Brian Schottenheimer. Like I'm sure Brian Schottenheimer is gonna be really good, right? Especially given his legacy. But right now, like you need somebody proven. Like your window's open. You guys have CeeDee Lamb in his prime. You guys have Dak Prescott, who's still capable and still in his prime. Um, right now, it doesn't you can't be trying to find the next best coach. You need to be finding a proven guy that can lead your team. That's why Deion Sanders excites me. I think that would make a lot of sense. That dude's proven. He knows what it takes to be a superstar in the NFL, and then also wherever he goes,
I
he's a
just
winner. Go ahead. What were you gonna say?
I just want to have a chance to win. Like that's all I care about. Like just
Yeah,
bring whoever the hell you want, but just bring people and let them do their thing.
yeah, I agree
But
with
yeah,
you
I would
there.
do that, dude. If I was the owner of America's team, like, dude, Madden. I don't know what it is with Madden. This Madden's harder than the last one for some reason for me. Like I'm still trying to get better
I
with
could
it,
tell
but
you're.
the
I
stupid
was looking at
extra
the
points. Like, how
score.
do they miss extra points in this, Danny?
Hey,
I'm
a lot of kickers
winning this
miss
game, but
extra
I'm
points.
shit. I'm 0-3 in the season. But like, Danny, how? Yeah, but like, how does it go like this when it's just supposed to go damn straight? Like that makes no sense to me. I can see if I fucked it up, but it's like hold A or press A, hold A, and I'm like, well, I'm doing that, and I'm not trying to move it.
You gave it
Well,
too
I
much
mean, I don't
power.
get that part, but whatever. But I'm gonna learn. I mean,
Yeah,
whatever. I mean, that's stupid
if
too.
you
Like
get
you're supposed to give it power to go straight up.
you have to be
I don't
accurate,
know.
and if you get too strong, then it gets all crazy.
That's man, I don't know. That makes no sense. But whatever. Like I'm moving the damn thing. I can see when it's
We
like an
cannot be Justin
important
Tucker.
kick. Like it's like, oh man, 3 seconds left. Can he make it? Or what do you mean? Brandon
The
Aubrey should be
pushes.
fucking perfect now. But he's like, they still keep him like, well, no, they have him like they don't even have a picture of him. Like they have him like just basic, and I'm like, okay, the best kicker can't make a
Did
damn
you
extra
update the
point. Come on now.
rosters?
But anyway, no, maybe that's what I should have
Uh,
done.
update the
How do
rosters.
I
I
do
think you're still
that?
playing with like. You just have to go to the options. I'll show you after the pod.
Oh my god. Yeah, I'll restart then. I'm still gonna get rid of Dak. That's for fucking sure. That's not gonna change.
That's why you're 0
Like
3 because of
he's gone.
Dak.
Well, no, I got rid of him. But
Oh, okay.
yeah. But it's yeah, that like but yeah, like missing extra points has fucked me over. And I'm like, how the hell is the best kicker in the world miss a damn extra point by 15 yards? It makes no sense. In a dome stadium. Come on now. But anyway, yeah, man. Let's go. So what's next? The championship? We're gonna pick the games, or what's happening?
Yep. Let's go with. Let's recap the divisional round. I think we kind of touched on it a little bit ago, but it was crazy because there was a
Right.
lot of things that you and I were texting back and forth during those two games on
I
Saturday and
finally won a week.
yeah, you did really good. You went 3-1. I went 1-3, which sucks. But yeah, no, let's start with the Texans. Let's start with the Texans and Chiefs, right? Because that one was very frustrating to watch.
Yeah.
At the beginning, like the Chiefs started off hot, and the Texans kind of settled into the game, and then all of a sudden, like they were in it for most of the game, right? But it seems like every time they were about to get the Chiefs, to punt or close to it,
On their heel
some bullshit penalty happened, right? Roughing the passer, or you would have Patrick Mahomes flopping, trying to get
twice.
that penalty. I hate that,
He's
and I lost
such a
total
puss,
respect for
man.
him. Yeah, I lost total respect for him because how are you gonna be that way? I understand you're trying to get an advantage, you're trying to go get extra yards and all of that, but at the same time you have to be fair to the game. And if you're making it that difficult for the
This is
referees
not
to,
soccer. This is not basketball.
that's what it is. It's turning into soccer, which is bullshit.
Right,
And I hate, that's one of the things I
right,
hate soccer
right,
for, is the flopping. Um, so yeah, those are things that the NFL has to really review going into next season, because they need to be able to challenge those types of calls, right? Like in the NBA, that was an issue. Flopping was an issue, and it would cost games and all of that. But now they have the ability to challenge those types of plays, and now they can get reversed, right? Those calls can get reversed. They need to do the same thing for the NFL, because this is getting out of hand and it's
right,
dictating a lot of teams. Um, and it sucks because the Texans truly had an opportunity to win that game, but because of these
right.
penalties, that prevented them from doing so.
Those two, the two drives that had the roughing penalties, Jenny, roughing the passer penalties, Jenny, both led to points. That's bullshit. And he
Yeah.
did not get roughed either time. And then Sam Darnold, obviously this was during the season. We talked about it, and of course they choked in the playoffs. But I'm like, in LA when they played the first time, his head's getting fucking ripped off in the end zone, and then all the screens show it. But then we can't call a penalty from New York. Like, hey, like let's get this taken care of. Like they should, if they're gonna protect the quarterback, then they should be able to say real quickly, tell the refs to throw a flag because it actually was a flag, or tell the refs to pick up the flag because it wasn't a flag. Like they need to get that
Yeah.
shit straight. And if I'm opposing teams and they're gonna like if if they're gonna suck Mahomes' dick the whole time and let him do whatever he wants, I'm gonna try to break his jaw. I'm gonna try to break his leg. At this point, I'm Greg Allen of the New Orleans Saints, the year that they beat the shit out of Brett Favre in Minnesota. Like because I'm at this point, I'm like I'm doing that because like if we're gonna get penalized, like and remember the Titans, like I'm doing that. Like if they're gonna call a penalty, make them fucking call your name because we're gonna go kill them. Like I would hurt Kelsey, I would hurt Mahomes day in and day out just because if we're gonna get penalized anyway, who gives a shit?
Yeah. I'm with you there. It's enough is enough. And I don't know, like the NFL has to be strategic in the way that they review these types of calls, right? If they do decide to change that rule, of course, maybe like they test it out with these types of calls, right? Where it's like roughing the passer penalties or horse collar tackles, like those
Right,
types of penalties. I can see them having like a challenge for. But if they were to do like holding and all of that, I think that would be overkill, right? Because every play in the NFL you can say is holding,
right.
and it'd be
But if
difficult
they're
to
gonna do
manage.
the whole like baby the quarterback, then baby it the right way. If a flag is a
Yeah,
flag and then a flag is not a flag, then it should just be that. Instead of like, oh, Mahomes ducks under two guys, they crush each other, but he was under the pile. They were like, they try to, they try to kiss him, like flag, because like those two they hurt each other because they're the ones who got hit, and he's just
yeah.
down there. And then, but I'm like, dude, nah, fuck that.
That
Like, I'm
that
tired of them
sound that they
babying
heard
Mahomes and all that.
that sound that they heard on the TV broadcast was the two Texans players hitting each other's helmets. They
Right.
ran into each other.
And then they were hurt. Like one of them was hurt, so like you could tell which one was which. Yeah,
But yeah, that
it's
was
like
frustrating to
this
watch.
is this is why I don't watch the Pro Bowl anymore because I'm not watching NFL players play flag football. Like I'm not.
Yeah, I think this
Just
will
not gonna
be
happen.
that's going to be the outcome. I think they're
But
going to change the rules there, and they'll make
I
sure to challenge those types of calls. They have to.
they have to.
You
Like, well,
can't.
you know what? Hats off to Troy Aikman. He's the only guy that has a damn microphone that's calling the NFL's bullshit. And like, I love it. Like, and he's a quarterback, Danny. Like, he's not a defender, he's not a who calls plays. He's not a Jonathan Vilma. He's not someone that hates quarterbacks or didn't play the quarterback's position. He is a quarterback. And he's just like, come on now. Like, what are we doing here? Like, get it together. Because those guys, Steve Young, Troy Aikman, all those dudes back then, they got their ass killed. And they went out
Yeah,
and won championships. Not none of this flopping crap. And then they get favors, Like, nah, I'm sick of
yeah.
Mahomes.
But what do you think about the
But
second game? The Jaden Daniels
The that
versus the
one was the
Lions.
Commanders and Lions, right?
Hmm.
Danny, the play that he dimed to Brown, and Brown was like, all right, well, I'm kind of blinded because the defender's in perfect position with his arm. I just got to trust my quarterback to throw it where I'm supposed to be. That ball, I mean, it just pocketed his damn hands. And then when I saw that play, I was like, Detroit's going to make it close, and then it's not going to be close later because they're going to have to get desperate. And sure enough, that's exactly what happened. Like Washington threw two haymakers, and I was at work, and I was like, man, I can't wait to text Danny. I was like, I'm gonna wait to the end of the game, but I'm like, I already know this outcome. It's gonna be two haymakers. They're gonna get dizzy, and then Detroit's gonna, pull the whole like Rocky thing. We're like, hey man, like come back a little bit and make it interesting. And then later on, what happened? Washington pulled two more haymakers, and it was done. After that, like Detroit was just like, oh, and then like it was a beautiful thing to watch, and like it's crazy. If they're able to upset Philly, Danny, can you imagine the pandemonium? Like what I told you and Gabe and other people, the best part of Dallas failing this year is that Jerry Jones has never looked bigger of an ass, and he's actually seen it and witnessing it. They mocked him in Philly. His ex defensive coordinator is in the fucking championship game. Two division rivals that he hates so much are in the division championship game. Dallas is getting plastered on social media, the news, even his own people that work at the radios that talk to him every week are like, are you going to change or what? Because this shit is a circus and this shit's not working. He's getting pissed and frustrated, but whether he probably is not going to change nothing. But the fact is that people are finally talking to him face to face about it, not covering it up, not like, well, Jerry, we live with you in Dallas, and we're gonna, kiss your ass the whole time because you're Jerry. No, they're like, dude, you're fucking up, and look at all the other teams that you like. Your ex offensive coordinator and your ex defensive coordinator are both in the NFC Championship game. What does that say to you?
You let them go out the door for no reason.
And maybe, just maybe, they should have kept them, and maybe Mike McCarthy could have had his chance to take us to the Super Bowl last year to this year. Because both of them were already out the door technically 2 years ago because Kellen Moore was already gone.
I
And that
honestly
goes
think that
back
they
to Mike
moved.
McCarthy wanting to call plays and stuff. And I'm like, obviously,
Yeah, I was gonna say real quick. I think honestly, I think they moved on from Mike McCarthy a year too late. What they should have done was they should have given Dan Quinn the keys to the kingdom, right? They should have let him become the head coach because he already had that rapport with that whole team. And
and I
then
think,
Kellen Moore could have
uh,
stuck around. You know what I mean? Like he could have had everything play out there in Dallas, but instead
right.
he wanted another yes man
And
to
it
stick around.
would have been way better. And Danny, I honestly think that's why Dan Quinn didn't give a shit about Green Bay's loss. I think he knew already that he heard Mike was already, talking in Jerry's ear, like, oh, I'll stay here, blah blah blah. And this is definitely killing Jerry Jones' ego. Oh yeah, like this is like the most beautiful like failing year of our like this is a blessing in disguise for Dallas going forward, like hands down. And the fact is that like Mike kissed Jerry's ass. Jerry said thank you. Can you kiss the other cheek? He did, and then he was like, all right, cool. Like, well, you'll be the guy again. And Dan Quinn was like, nah, bro. Like, what do you mean? I remember I told you that I bet you Jerry promised Dan Quinn the keys after Mike, and then once he found out that it probably wasn't going to happen, he was like, fuck this, I'm out. And then look, he's in a division rival. Not only is he representing the NFC in the championship game, Danny, he's representing a long historical rivalry hatred from Washington Redskins to the Washington Commanders, and he's doing it in front of you. Like how beautiful is that for Jerry Jones? Like it's so beautiful.
Yeah, that's it's crazy and good for the Commanders though. It's cool to see a new team kind of emerge out of out of the ground because
Oh man,
they hadn't won a game since a long time ago. I think they were at the
I'm
longest
happy.
playoff win drought, right? So
I'm yeah, since '91. Now Dallas is the only NFC East or NFC team that hasn't been to the conference championship at least for like 30 years or something.
crazy since now what 96?
Yeah, 95, 96. Yep, it's
Crazy,
wild,
but
and
yeah,
all because of his ego. He fired the coach that was unbeatable. Like, how does that even make sense? How do you fire a coach that's winning Super Bowls like that? I've never heard that in my life.
ego, his ego.
Yeah.
He wanted to be the only one
Yeah,
that
I'm happy for the command. Honestly, Danny, I don't. I think Philly might win, but I would love to see Washington in the Super Bowl. To be honest, like I would rather have them than Philly.
I would too. Yep, me too. I'm with you there. And honestly, like man, Jaden Daniels, he's amazing. He's amazing to watch, and it's hard to believe he's a rookie. Like you see the way that he kind of manages the
It's so
offense, and
wild.
he has poise. When it breaks down, he finds a way to get through the all the traffic and finds a player down the field. Like that's what you want. And honestly, I don't
Can you
see Cliff
imagine?
Kingsbury. I don't see Cliff Kingsbury moving on. Do you? I think he's gonna stay there another year or so.
Maybe. Yeah, I mean, why? Why leave right now when you have something so golden? And the fact is, can you imagine you won the Heisman Trophy and now you're one game away from the Super Bowl? Like that is saying something. And what sucks
Remind
too
me.
is like now,
I was gonna say, has any rookie quarterback made the
what?
Super Bowl? Was it Ben or no? Did he make it his second year? I'm trying to remember if a rookie has ever
Wait.
made the
I
Super Bowl.
you glitched. No, they so a rookie quarterback has never won a Super Bowl, and they've never. I don't think they've ever been to a Super Bowl. Each quarterback has at least 1 year of like in a system. So yeah, it'd be nuts. Um, but you know what sucks, Danny, for you guys too, especially the Hail Mary, and now Ben Johnson going over there. He has to resurrect Caleb
He will.
because Caleb is always going to be the other quarterback in the conference.
Yeah. It, that's what that's what I was talking to with Gabe and then Chris as well off the air. It's like it sucks that Caleb Williams and Jaden Daniels are going to be compared to each other, throughout the entire career. And right now, like Jaden Daniels has that step. He
Forever.
probably has a few. He has a few steps over Caleb Williams based on the success this year. But I think this draft class, especially with the quarterbacks, is going to be stacked. Like Bo Nix had a lot of success. He looked good. Drake May, I don't think we've seen
Right.
everything that he's able to accomplish, right? And now with Mike Vrabel, he's going to take a step
No.
ahead. Caleb, I expect him to
Even
elevate
JJ
as well.
McCarthy.
Yeah, we don't know what he's at, right? I think he's going to be good too. So it's going to be interesting
Yeah.
to see, but it sucks for every other quarterback other than Jaden Daniels because Jaden Daniels is going to be able to say, hey, I took my team to the Super Bowl. What did you fuckers do? What can they say? Right?
Right. Yeah, it's wild. So yeah. So then what was the other game? The other first game was with Buffalo and Baltimore. What did you think about that one?
That one, oh man, I feel for Mark Andrews. That dude had a horrible game on Sunday, and he definitely cost the team. I think they would have beat the Bills, honestly. Um,
Crazy.
I think that fumble was costly at the wrong time that happened, and then when they scored that potentially game tying touchdown and he dropped that 2 point conversion, I think that was what broke the camel's back. Right? They didn't have any more timeouts other than maybe one, and there was few seconds left, so that was the end of it. And I always liked Mark Andrews. I think he's a solid tight end, one of the best tight ends in the league. But it sucks that their season ended on a dropped 2 point conversion.
Well, Danny, I got to point out though, Lamar threw an interception in the end zone. Lamar fumbled by Lamar. It wasn't a punch out like Mark Andrews' hit. Like it's still like it was both their fault. It wasn't just Mark Andrews. Yeah, did Lamar come back clutch? But the whole team has to do the little things to win the game. Like especially in the playoffs. Like it's the team that does the least amount of mistakes is who's going to win. And that's
Yeah,
never changed in
yeah,
the history of the NFL. Like it's cold, it's physical. There's people are bruised up from all year. It's the mistakes of any team that's just gonna haunt them. Like look at the Texans, right? Like even though that stupid Machomes was getting all those calls, like how many missed field goals did they have? And then they didn't get the points when they needed it. Like they should have kicked some of the field goals
yeah.
later in to have points that like grab the hands. Oh man, just the
That's a
bill. But I
that's
yeah, I
another thing,
chose the
Jake.
Bills, man.
I was gonna say you bring up good points, right? Because it wasn't just all on the Mark Andrews, right? Other players made mistakes like Lamar, but it just sucks that like you know how this game is, right? You have momentum, it's taken and it's received by other teams, like it comes and goes, and it sucks that at the time when the Ravens were seizing that momentum in the fourth quarter, and that's dangerous when you seize in the fourth quarter.
Oh yeah,
Watch out. But
oh yeah.
it just sucks that it ended that way when they had so much success. Like Lamar Jackson had an MVP caliber season. You had freaking uh, Derrick Henry just elevate that rushing offense even more than they've ever seen it. And you feel for those guys that were not given the chance to see what they could have done in overtime. You know what I mean? If that would have been the outcome of it, who knows? They could have still scored and won the game in a last minute field or last second field goal. But nonetheless, like
Right.
that just sucks to see it play out that way. But another thing I was gonna bring up to you, and another thing that I've seen again in the playoffs, is teams going for it on fourth down, or not deciding to kick the field goal when they're in field goal range, and then at the end of it all,
I've
they're
been
having to
saying
go for
it
2 point
for two
conversions.
years, man.
That's like, come on, you have
Right.
to be smart
And
about it.
lose.
Yeah, these damn analytics. But
Right.
the
Yeah,
most
it's
exciting
what I've
game
been
for
saying
me.
for screaming for 2 years. Like the fourth.
Yeah, I hear you. But I was gonna say the
Go
most
ahead.
exciting game for me on divisional weekend was it had to be the Rams and Eagles game. Like that one was cool. It was in the snow. Um, it was kind of back and forth for most of the game. And right when you thought the Eagles were going to run away with it, the Rams decided to make it interesting and get close. So that was what was cool to see. But man, you talk about MVP caliber
Ugh.
seasons. Saquon Barkley, like that dude. If they didn't have Saquon Barkley, where would the Eagles be this year?
I honestly think that Dallas. I think Dallas would have challenged them to be the wild. I think Washington could have won the division without Barkley, and then I think Dallas could have competed with Philly for the last wild card spot at the end. Because if you look at Barkley single handedly won several games for them, and Hurts is Hurts. Like
Yeah,
he's not good. Like as people think he is. Like he has to have things go good just like Dak. Like when things are bad, like Tush Push ain't gonna get 1 yard every damn time. So like he needs to like him and Brown need to step up if they're gonna win this game because Washington's coming in hot and Philadelphia has shown inconsistencies. The only thing that's been consistent is their running back. So if you take him out the picture, we'll see how it goes.
yeah, I'm with you there. That's gonna be a dangerous game for Philly, given they're still at home, but
Mm-hmm.
division rivals, they know each other, and that's dangerous too.
And Washington already beat them at home, so
Yeah, that was a last seconds defeat, right? If I remember correctly.
Yeah, and it was the game that decided that Dallas didn't have a shot to get in the playoffs anymore. So I was like, "Oh fuck, I don't want us to win anymore." And then we still won a few games. I'm like, "God, just stop start losing." But yeah, man, it was if it would be, I think so too. Like if it wasn't for the snow, and then what my thing is though, like it didn't work in LA. So why are you trying it in Philadelphia? I don't know why the defensive coordinator for Los Angeles kept going to the single high safety. You only have one person to try to tackle him in the backfield. Like, how stupid is that? Like, what are you doing? Why are we going to single high safety in the fucking snow?
I know.
Like in the snow, you have one guy gonna try to tackle thunder thighs when you can't tackle him one with one hand. Like it made no sense to me.
I think that was the main mistake that they made, or they made it twice, right?
But
Because
yeah,
Saquon had two long ass runs, but they're playing in the snow, and you could tell even the defenders had like poor footing, like they were slipping and sliding all over the place. And I think the snow
right.
may have snuck up on them, but like they just were not prepared for
Ugh.
like the second and third quarter, and then all of a sudden in the fourth quarter, they're like, okay, they got back into the rhythm of what they were doing. They went to the fast tempo offense, but it was too late. Like you were lucky you were only 8 points and you had the opportunity to tie it at the end, but given the snowy conditions and given you know how far and the time that they had, I think it was an uphill climb for them to tie that up. But I wish they would have done it sooner. They would have actually pivoted from their game plan and worked to compete harder, but it didn't turn out that way. And it gave the Eagles
Right.
a chance to run away with it. All right, Jay, that was a good recap. Let's talk about conference championships.
Woo,
Let's
Danny.
let's look at the schedule.
So well, we know the schedule, Danny.
I know, but we're visual here. Go for it. Lead us off.
Yes, sir. I'm leading. All right, Danny. So the first game is the Washington Commanders and the Philadelphia Eagles, right? Oof,
Yep.
dude, this one to me is more conflicting and confusing than the other game. I think. Uh, okay, so I told you already, even before the playoffs start, that this playoffs, and it's proven. I've been proven right because of how everything turned out. That the Davids were going to be able to take out the Goliaths in this playoff system. Rams took out the Vikings. Commanders took out the Lions. Of course, Buffalo took out Baltimore. Like, there's so many teams that were the Goliaths of the season. They got knocked out. Um, Washington and Philly, man. I mean, I could just flip a coin, and then that's who I would just like heads or tails, like, because I think whoever scores the last, like the field goal, I think it's gonna be a field goal game. Um, I'm just
Which kicker?
I'm gonna
All right,
say
hold on. If
Philadelphia
if
as
you say
much.
it's a field goal game, which kicker do you trust more, Zane Gonzalez or do you trust Jake Elliott?
Jake Elliott, as much as it hurts me to say.
Yeah, I agree.
Like, he's been proven for a while, and he's been playing in Philly's weather forever. Like, he's been there his whole career. So I'm picking Philly, one, because they're home, because of their running back, because of Jake Elliott at the end. Now, do I think Washington has a high percentage of winning? Yes. Like, it's like literally 50.99%, like, of it could go either way. If Jaden plays the way he played against Detroit, then yeah, it could be a long day for Philly. But a rookie is still a rookie, and eventually a rookie is gonna make a mistake that a rookie would make. Like that's just inevitable. If he goes to the Super Bowl, shit, those motherfuckers better win. Like I'm like, if he goes to Super Bowl, he might as well make history and win the game. But I'm picking Philly.
All right. That's not a bad pick. Like to your point, I think it is truly 50-50. And I think it goes back to momentum, right? I think the only positive thing that's going in Washington's favor is the fact that Jalen Hurts is not 100%, right? So now
Right.
they have Marshawn Lattimore. That's looking like a really good pickup, that they did right before the trade deadline, because now he can man up with AJ Brown and put more pressure on Jalen Hurts to make a play to the other
Mm-hmm.
wide receivers, right? Um, you also have the leadership of Bobby Wagner, so you know that he's gonna want to stop Saquon Barkley. Their defensive line is also no joke. Like I see a lot of favorable matchups for Washington here. The only thing that worries me about Washington is their kicker. If it did come down to a last minute or last second field goal, I don't trust Zane Gonzalez to make that field goal. I honestly don't. I can see it hitting the upright like it
Really.
did a few weeks back. When was it? Like 2 weeks ago against the Bucks. Um, so that worries me. But I think Washington, like if they're able to score quick, and they've been doing a great job of using Eckler as a pass catching running back. I just think their offense is hitting another gear, and I think they could shock the Eagles at home. And I honestly, I'm gonna go with Washington here. I don't think their story ends here, and I think Jaden Daniels is gonna be the first rookie quarterback to go to the Super Bowl.
That would be so amazing, bro. If they go, I want them to at that point just fucking win. But
Yeah,
and if they win this week, Danny, I gotta tell you something that my godfather said for several years before he died, which would be a kind of a crazy coincidence. But I'll save that for the next time. Especially well, I'll save it if they win because if they win, that'd be crazy. Um,
yeah,
whew.
that's gonna be awesome to
All right,
hear.
so
Hopefully
you
they do win.
yeah. So all right, Danny. How about you?
All right,
You're gonna start the next round.
sounds good. All right, Jay. You and I are both, we both feel the same way about Kansas City, right? I am excited that they did move on. And the only reason why I'm excited that Chiefs moved on is because now we get that rematch of that 8 second showdown of a few years ago.
13 second.
Or 13 seconds, right? 13 seconds, that's what it was.
Yeah.
But now, guess what? They don't have a Tyreek Hill to be that X factor in that game, right? Now they have to worry about Kelsey. They have to worry about Hollywood Brown. They have to worry about Worthy. And honestly, those guys don't scare me. Like I've seen those guys in flashes. I haven't seen those guys consistent. The Bills seem like a team of destiny. Like they are the team that everybody was writing off because of all their departures. Single handedly, I think all of their success is attributing to the success of Josh Allen. And that dude, I don't see him taking any steps back in this game. I think he's really gonna want to beat the Chiefs.
MVP.
Yeah, if he wins this, he's definitely MVP, and it'll be deservedly so. But honestly, like this is the perfect opportunity for them to beat their big brother, like you called it, right? Like you've been saying.
Mm-hmm.
I think they will. I think they'll be able to beat them. The running game is also strong. Cook is finding his groove. He's able to. That's the thing I like about the Bills' offense. They're kind of like complementary of each other, right? It's not always on Josh Allen, and it's not always on Cook. Like they have a good complement. Um, but yeah, I think that what's benefiting the Bills here is that they're not having to worry about so many playmakers, right? That the Chiefs once had. And I think the Bills are just going to be able to win this by 10 points. I just see that being a convincing win from them. And I think the Chiefs' three-peat ends here.
Danny, going back to what we were talking about earlier, I pray to God that that ref group, that specific ref team is not there because the Kansas City Chiefs are undefeated if that specific ref team is there. So I
They're
pray
not going to be there.
that they're not there. Thank God.
Yeah, it's a new
So
team. It's a new team.
If the Kansas City refs don't show up and they actually let them play how they should play, just like Peyton Manning with Tom Brady, just like Steve Young against the Cowboys, like Josh Allen is gonna grab that damn monkey, that gorilla, and say, "No more is enough, bro. I'm fucking done." Boom, and he's gonna supplant it. And Danny, if things get a little edgy quick, it will fall apart for Kansas City very, very quickly. And when people are trying to three-peat, it's usually the team that they've usually bullied that takes them out to defeat the three-peat.
Yeah.
So I'm hopeful that history, because Dallas was beating the shit out of C Young, and he's the one who took him out of the playoffs the year that he won Super Bowl. The year that Peyton Manning won the Super Bowl, he took out Brady and they picked him off at the end. Then they ended up winning the Super Bowl. So I'm like, this is the year that Buffalo gets that damn schneid off that damn back, and they finally do it. And I pray that they just let them play a fair game because I think Josh Allen, like you said, will outplay Patrick Machomes for sure.
Yeah. And I'm glad you brought that up. That's a really good point that you're bringing up in terms of like the big brothers bullying their little brothers for several years, right? And in this case, this one is probably even more of a motivation for the Bills to win this game, right? Because the last couple times that they've
Right.
played the Chiefs in the playoffs, it's always been in the
Oh,
divisional round. Now they have an opportunity to beat the Chiefs to go to the Super Bowl, and that's like something you
right.
can't take away from Josh Allen. Like that's going to be motivating in itself. I like that analogy that you brought up.
Woo. So we're split on one, and then we're equal on the other. So we'll see how we do. And you know what, Danny? What I told Scott, my friend Scott, that's well, he works with me now too because he's the manager who brought me into work. But he's a Buffalo Bills fan, and I told him, Scott, I had an epiphany, man, and I pray it comes true. Buffalo will meet Philly in the Super Bowl. So then, right after the game, I control every Philadelphia fan and say, "Hey, how does it feel to be the only NFC East team to lose to the Bills in the Super Bowl?" That would be the greatest troll in my life forever.
Or and we let's
That would
flip
be
the
so
table there.
beautiful.
Let's flip it there. What if Washington gets the Super Bowl
Uh,
and they beat the Bills in the last second field goal? That would be every NFC
yeah.
East team
Then,
beat them
then,
in the Super Bowl,
well,
right?
that still is technically because they haven't played Philly because
Oh, that's right.
they've already beaten Washington's beaten Buffalo once, the Giants beat Buffalo once, and then the Cowboys beat Buffalo twice. The
Oh,
only team
that's
that
why I
hasn't
got mixed up.
played Buffalo in the Super Bowl is the Eagles. So that's why I was like,
It's
man,
Philly.
imagine like you guys beat Philly. That'd be the greatest fucking thing for me ever.
Shh,
Oh man, that'd
crazy.
be so cool. Yeah, that'd be wild.
That's awesome.
That'd be wild.
I'm
But
excited,
man,
man. This is gonna be a
this
fun
is
weekend.
oh dude, I'm sad and excited, Danny, because I mean we started this thing and now it seems like it's like collapsing, like because it's almost done. Then we're gonna have to like talk about supposed news and then the big news once free agency starts and stuff like that. But man, I don't want it to stop. This has been too much fun.
Yeah, but you know what though? It's gonna be a short pause. I think before you know it, there'll be all this news about free agent, chatter and all of that stuff. So that'll give us some talking things. I think it gets a little slow, like right after the Super Bowl ends, and then once like training camp or not really training camp, it's more like OTAs and all of that. I think that's always the slowest time of the year. But we'll figure it out. We figured it out last year. We made it through the whole off season, so it's gonna be fun. And before you know it, it'll be September, and we'll be talking football again every week.
Man, when we were doing the podcast today, I was like my sweat jacket and the lighting, man. I felt like I was channeling in my own Bill Belichick here. Damn hoodie
You just
and
gotta
looking the
cuff the
gray
sleeves.
and yeah, well yeah, and then I just gotta like
All you
yeah,
need
we're
is a 24-year-old girlfriend
buff,
next.
yeah, then I'll be winning. Just looking all like yeah, Buffalo's gonna be moving on. They're gonna show up.
Hmm.
Washington looks like a good team, but I'm kind of going with Philly.
Our focus on the
They're the veteran
Jets.
team. They should win. Yeah. Yep.
You know what I thought about
Man,
now that I
crazy how
mentioned the
time flies,
Jets?
bro.
I wonder what's gonna happen with Rex Ryan. What's gonna happen? Is he gonna go back to ESPN? Is he gonna get a shot anywhere else? Like, curious to see what happens
What do you
there.
mean? Oh, because he interviewed with them, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, I think he'll still do ESPN until he gets hired. See, I would even love for him to be a coach for Dallas, like, or defense coordinator. Like, give him a damn contract. I'd be down with him too. It would be
yeah.
something way different that we're not used to, and he'd be raw, raw. Like he would not give no shits to yell at Dak or anybody.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh
Yeah.
man,
The dust will settle soon,
Danny, yeah, and then we'll all be dusty. Danny, it's been a pleasure, sir. Everyone
as
who
always.
watched or is gonna watch later, like, share, follow, please. Hey, we got to do another interview soon, so we'll try to find somebody. That would be
Yeah, we'll
fun,
have to reach
especially
out.
like to like when it gets like slow time or whatever.
Let's see if we can interview a Chiefs fan after they lose next week. I want to see what their reaction is. Right?
Oh, I'm down with that.
Just grill
I'm
them.
so down. Pray to God. Pray to God. Oh man, that'd be great. But man, ladies and gentlemen, it's a pleasure. Sun City Leatherheads podcast coming to you, and we're about to be out for until next time. Danny Ramirez, JD Sally, out.
See y'all next week.